Wow. PGA Championship, Xander Schauffele, congratulations. Goes out and gets his first major championship. Bryson DeChambeau wins back the hearts of every golf fan in America. The resurgence of Victor Hovland, the resurgence of Colin Morikawa, the hometown boy finishes in the top 10. And then some pretty interesting stuff happened on a Friday morning. So we got a lot to talk about here when it comes to the PGA Championship. Not sure where you want to start.
I think it makes sense to start with Scottie. Let's just get that out of the way.
All right, so let's start with Scottie Scheffler. For everyone that knows, that's the number one player in the world. Just had a baby. Congratulations to them. Comes to the PGA Championship as a new dad. Everyone's saying not sure he's going to be able to handle playing in a major after just having a child. Guy dunks it on number one.
Yeah, played really, really well. 3 out of the 4 days, right? Only one day he didn't play well.
Yeah, and that just happened to be when his caddy decided to take a vacation in the middle of a major championship.
Well, I mean, whose graduation was it that he went to? Was his daughter's?
I mean, Ted Scott not being there on Saturday is the last thing that we need to talk about. We need to talk about Scottie Scheffler, the number one player in the world, is in the hunt after round one. Friday morning, I wake up to a text from you saying, "How about Scottie?" And I reply with, "Yeah, he's pretty good." And you wrote back, "Bro, check your phone." And then I start looking at my phone and I'm going, oh my God, what the heck happened? There was moments in my life where I thought this is exactly what we need. Scottie Scheffler not only is playing like Tiger Woods, he just became Tiger Woods. What scandal do we have going on here? But the reality is a very, very tragic thing happened at the entrance to Valhalla on Friday. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the tragic loss of a volunteer. That tragic loss led to a chaotic scene, which led to a video that Jeff Darlington just happened to capture, which was at 6:30 in the morning, the number one player in the world is being escorted to a police car in handcuffs.
That was, since I've started watching golf, outside of, like, even the day that Tiger was in the car crash, right? Like, that was a big day, and that was a, like, wild media day, but I don't think it was even remotely close to this. Like, this was insane.
Insane, man. When you told me, hey, check your phone, and I start seeing Scottie Scheffler in handcuffs, I start seeing Scottie Scheffler arrested. I'm not going to lie. At one moment, I was like, oh, my God, this guy went on a bender. He got a DUI. Like, what? I didn't know that it at first. Like, it was so early in the morning. I'm just trying to put together all the things. There was a moment where I thought, oh, my God, did Scottie Scheffler hit this guy? Right? And then the story comes out, and it's really sad that it all became this misunderstanding. But what's not sad is Scottie Scheffler is absolutely the man. Not one time during that police officer thrusting himself in the car, throwing himself on the car, did he say, hey, guys, I'm the number one player in the world. He let them put handcuffs on him. He let them put him in a car. He let them take him to the police station. I mean, they put the freaking orange jumpsuit on. They did a mugshot. Like, and not one time did he ever break this amazing character, which is Scottie Scheffler. So, yes, chaotic scene, tragic, insane. But what's probably more insane than anything is you and I are going back and forth. I'm sure your phone's blowing up, my phone's blowing up. It's like, what in the hell is happening in golf? The guy happens to get to the course and shoot 66, right? There was a moment in that morning where I was like, what's going to happen? Are they going to change the tee time so Scottie can play? There was obviously a narrative of, can they even do that? How are they going to do that? How are they going to get this guy out? He says, hey, I've never stretched in a jail cell before, but they had SportsCenter on. I'm seeing myself in handcuffs. I start stretching because I realize there's the fog delay. Gets to the course, has 30 minutes to warm up, and just goes and drops a little 66 like it's nothing.
There's a lot of things that I think define a world number one. Play on the course, consistency. What Scottie Scheffler did on Friday after getting arrested is why he's the best player in the world. Mentally, that dude was, at least the appearance and how he played, he was unfazed. That's unreal.
Yeah, and I think the way that he handled it, right? We've seen it, unfortunately, in the history of golf, right? Someone gets in a situation like this and then they have to do a press conference and it's very staged and it's like their manager just hands them a sheet and says, please read from the bullet points. Scottie was authentic. He was vulnerable. He was honest. And that's why Scottie Scheffler is the best. I know everyone talks about, hey, golf needs Scottie Scheffler to be something more. I couldn't disagree more. Scottie Scheffler needs to keep doing what Scottie Scheffler's doing. It was one of the craziest days in golf. And like you said, it just confirmed why Scottie Scheffler is the best player on the planet.
We've said, not just myself and you, but the golf world has said, the game needs Tiger. And I don't disagree with that statement, but I think now we need to add the statement, the game needs Scottie.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we could talk about Scottie for days, and it was sad that Scottie didn't have Ted on the bag. But again, another reason why Scottie, when they started working together, it was already outlined in the plan that Ted wasn't going to be there on a Saturday in a major championship. This was just one more reason why I love Scottie Scheffler. He's a man of his values. He's a family man. He's a man of faith. And he told Ted Scott, that's where you need to be. After all the chaos, Scottie being arrested, Scottie shooting 66, probably more than anything, he needed Ted Scott on the bag. And he still told Ted, go and be there. And that's amazing. Disappointing that Scottie shot that first round over par, and it feels like 700 rounds, but whatever it's been. And then Scottie Scheffler comes back and makes him relevant again on Sunday. Like, it's just remarkable. Not to take anything away from Xander Schauffele winning the PGA Championship, and we will definitely talk about that. But the storyline of the PGA at Valhalla will always be Scottie Scheffler leaving Valhalla in handcuffs, Scottie Scheffler in an orange jumpsuit, and then Scottie Scheffler going and shooting 66.
And yeah, and that is what it's going to be. And I hope that, and I don't think that it would affect them. I hope Xander doesn't take offense to that, because that will be the narrative for years to come, is that's what happened. But like you said, we're going to get into Xander, and man, he was due. It was just time for him. Like we've talked about on the podcast over the last couple of months about, he was working on things, and it seemed like the time was coming. He's trending. All the things that have happened over the past couple of weeks that have kept him from winning, and finally he gets a putt to lip in to win. There's been debate on the internet of whether the PGA Championship should change how they operate. Maybe they should make it a match play because it's not exciting. Not my words from people on social. This year's PGA Championship was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And my daughter, to say she's not a golf fan is an understatement, but we were glued to the TV. She was obviously cheering on who she wanted to win, and we were excited, and we were glued to the TV on Sunday. And for Xander to go wire to wire at a major championship to win after getting beat at Quail, it's just amazing, right? And it is just another testament to why Chris Como is one of the best coaches in the game. What he's been able to do over the years is remarkable. What it must have felt like for him to be the former coach of Bryson DeChambeau and watch Bryson applying the things that they've worked on for years, and seeing Bryson rise and knowing that they're still friends, and still seeing now Xander emerge. It's just amazing. And hats off to Chris and Derek and the entire team for Xander, because winning your first major championship is not easy. Winning your first major championship when the narrative is that you just don't get it done is ridiculous. And we can pull up the stat, and maybe you'll link it in, of that narrative couldn't be farther from the truth. This guy is dominating in major championships. This guy not only just won his first major championship, but this is the reason why he has an opportunity to go and defend his gold medal in Paris.
I was just about to say, and I think you would agree with me on this, but if there's somebody that I want to go represent our country, again, it's him. I think his form right now and where he's at, that's the guy I want to send over there because I think he'll bring it home.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And let's break it down, right? There's so many great stories. The Xander story is amazing. Seeing him win was incredible. The mistake, if you will, on 10, I know people talk about it and, what it could have been, or maybe it wouldn't have been as dramatic. I think the fact that he stumbled on 10 and then he went shot for shot down the stretch with Bryson. And yes, there was a moment where it looked like, hey, maybe this is going to be Bryson or maybe it's going to be a playoff. I don't know what was going on inside of Xander's head, but the entire back nine, it looked like no matter what you guys do, Xander's still going to win the PGA.
I don't know if he was leaderboard watching. I don't know if I caught that in his press conference. If you heard it, let me know. But it feels like he just like saw what they were doing and was like, all right, let's go. Because I feel like every time they did something, he just matched them every time.
Yeah, well, he makes bogey and then goes birdie birdie. I think he was in control, and it's just amazing. And what was also awesome is all the other storylines, right? The fact that you see Bryson, right? This podcast, we talk a lot about PGA Tour. We talk a lot about LIV. We talk a lot about DP World Tour. What was amazing is Bryson DeChambeau makes golf fun. And I don't want this to be about, we just need to see these guys play together more. I just need to see Bryson DeChambeau be Bryson DeChambeau. When he hit that 8-iron and his pose was literally like it was going to go in because he knew it was so magical, it was amazing, or the chip in on Saturday, or the almost reaction to then the putt falls on 18. It's just incredible. And that's all possible because of the platform that he's created for himself. The way that he's using YouTube, the way that he's cultivating the fan base is exactly what golf needs. Forget PGA Tour, LIV, all that stuff. Golf is in a better place because of characters, entertainers like Bryson DeChambeau.
Me and you talked. You know exactly how I feel about what I think these professionals should be doing on social media, specifically YouTube long-form content. Bryson does it better than anybody, maybe in any sport, to be honest with you. And as a golf fan, this narrative was always, Bryson's a weird guy. Bryson's a weird guy. Bryson is very quickly becoming a fan favorite, and it's awesome to see because he deserves it. Because if you think about it, talk about who does the most for the game of golf. It's not Greg Norman. It's not Phil Mickelson. It's not Jay Monahan. It's not Tiger Woods. The one who is out there performing in the majors and on the LIV events and also creating content to keep people engaged while he's not playing is Bryson. And I fully believe, call it a faded take, call it whatever you want, the person who's doing the most for the sport of golf right now, today, is Bryson DeChambeau.
I definitely like that take. And I definitely think that the pairing of Bryson and Victor on Sunday was incredible. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give a huge shout out to Joe Mayo and the fact that Victor has come back to Joe Mayo, and that trip to Vegas obviously was well worth it. I think Colton O said it best. Victor might be the only guy ever to be happy leaving Vegas, and he was definitely happy leaving Vegas because Victor showed up as that player that we saw at the end of last year, the player that we saw at the Ryder Cup, the player that we're excited to watch. And seeing Bryson and Victor go shot for shot was just amazing. And Victor coming in third, and yes, once he missed that birdie putt to maybe force the playoff, he goes and misses it, but who cares? What happened this weekend, seeing Bryson do what Bryson was doing, but also seeing the resurgence of a player like Victor Hovland and hats off to him. Hats off to Joe Mayo, because it was just amazing to watch.
Really glad that he didn't withdraw before the tournament. Really, really glad he didn't do that.
Yeah, and again, just really glad, though, that he's honest about it and honest where he was. And obviously, as a coach, I see players go through these ups and downs, and it's really nice to see when an athlete has that ability to get back to that form, because they go back to the foundation. They go back to the things that work. It's not always about trying to find the next great thing. Sometimes it's about cultivating what's already working. So speaking about things that are already working, we have Victor coming in third, and then we have Colin Morikawa coming in fourth. And like Victor, he reached out to his previous coach. Obviously, Rick Sessenhouse, a big fan of the pod. We had him on here, and the entire time we had Rick on the pod, he just talked about how amazing of a human Colin is, how much he enjoyed the journey of taking Colin from a junior golfer to a multiple major winner. And I believe that respect and the way that they handled that separation is why they're back together again and why we're seeing Colin in such great form.
Yeah, and my brother's favorite golfer is Colin Morikawa, and for the last couple of years he's been it's his time. And I think even the golf world as a whole kind of thought that was coming, and it just hasn't. So to see him get back with Rick and start to immediately, and again, like, I don't think it's a flip of a switch. I think that this was gradually coming and it was going to get there, but Rick being there, and I don't know if it was maybe the mental side of it. I don't know if it was technique. I don't know what it was. But to see him in the appearance of, like, getting better overnight is really cool, and I think it's another thing that's like great for golf is having these superstars in form. Yeah. And right now we have, I mean, probably more than 10, maybe not superstars, but stars in form playing good golf, and we still have 2 majors left.
Yeah, and that resurgence of Colin Morikawa started when him and Rick rekindled that relationship at Augusta. Obviously, we've seen Colin in contention since then, and that's amazing. What also, when you talk about stars, right? Hometown boy, Louisville, and you got JT, who's kind of not been in form, stepping up and playing in front of that crowd for the first time ever. It was amazing to see. It was also amazing to see, as authentic as it was, to see Colin, who's playing on Sunday and just seeing red go up on the leaderboard everywhere, and he just making pars to make that birdie on the last and kind of be like, finally we got one, was awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah, and on JT, we talked, and not on the podcast, but JT was somebody I wanted to see play well. And it is kind of weird when you have these events where it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know how he is with the Ryder Cup. Yeah. And maybe people argue that he shouldn't have been on that Ryder Cup team, but he was probably our best player in the Ryder Cup. And then you go to a PGA Championship, a major in his hometown. He's not in form, but it's almost like that like dog mentality that he has at the Ryder Cup came out this week. And I don't know how we get that every week, but if he can get back to the way he played this weekend, I mean, he has a chance to go on another run again.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why professional golf has these major championships, right? And the big-time players step up in the big-time moments, and Xander is a big-time player. Yes, he previously didn't have a major championship, but he now has a major championship, and one of those big-time players that we just talked about is probably now that player that's touted as the best player without a major championship, and that would be Victor Hovland. So the Open Championship could be the time where Victor emerges. Who knows, right? I don't know what the police look like over in the UK, but maybe you're going to have to arrest Scottie again so somebody else can win.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to dwell on the Scottie situation again, but the more that I think about it, what he did Friday after coming back from jail, like, dude, that is insane, like, mental game. That is unreal.
Yeah, I think it was great for golf. Not great because of the situation, but it was just a way to show that the best golfers in the world in the face of adversity step up.
I also want to say something too, and I've said to you, and I've been pretty open, I don't like the way the police handled the situation, but I want this to go on record because they've been getting beat up pretty hard that was a really, really tough morning for those guys and those women out there, part of the Louisville Police Department. I'm sure the emotions were at an all-time high, and I would bet you that some of them there would admit that that situation wasn't handled the best. However, with that said, I would not want their job. So I just wanted to go just say that, hey, I know that, or I should say, I think they made a mistake, but also I'm glad that I wasn't in that situation and have to make the decisions that they made. Whether right or wrong, I'm just glad that that's not my job.
For sure. For sure. And hats off to all the men and women who were there to make that chaotic scene a little less chaotic. So when we look at this week, I think we could talk about a million things, but I think the biggest story to come out of the PGA Championship is that we now had one of the most enjoyable major championships. I know people are going to say 21 under par is, not a major championship and the golf course should be harder. And look, I'm not a golf course architect nerd, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, yes, of course, off of Zoysia, like it sets up better for some guys. And yes, there was rough, but these guys are the best players in the world. And for them to go out and do what they did is just remarkable, right? So who cares what they shoot? It's about, did it entertain? And there is no doubt that the PGA Championship entertained. Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, Scottie Scheffler, Colin Morikawa. The list can go on and on and on, right? Rory McIlroy coming into the week with a lot of distractions, a lot of off the golf course conversations, a lot of talk about what's going on in his personal life. For him to be in the mix after round one was great. I also think this is a weird take, but I think it was kind of nice to see the conversation go away from Rory McIlroy and his personal life to something that was a little bit more about what we can talk about. I'm not saying the situation with Scottie was correct or handled correctly, but I would much prefer there to be a conversation about that or about golf than about someone's personal life.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to figures like Rory, when stuff happens off the course, it becomes a topic. And I don't care to get into it. I actually don't really care one way or the other about what's happening off the course for Rory. But I'm sure he was, I don't want to say thankful, but kind of like relieved that maybe some of that heat that was definitely, like, let's be honest, the golf media was going to bring it up at some stage. So the fact that this happened on Friday kind of took a little bit of, not pressure, because there's still pressure on Rory to win a major. We know that the major drought is still well in effect. But I would much rather talk about that and not beat him up about anything that happens off the golf course. It's just not, I don't care. I just want to see him play good golf.
Agree. And I think we could do 10 podcasts on the PGA and each of these individuals. But just again, huge shout out to Xander, his coach Chris Como, Derek Urata, his budding coach. It's just amazing what they did. Huge shout out to Bryson for what he did. Thank you, Bryson, for what you're doing for the game of golf. And now we're going into a tournament this weekend that's going to be amazing. So coming off the back end of a major, sometimes you feel like there's going to be this lull or there's not going to be this excitement. We saw that not be the case at the RBC. I think we're going to see that not be the case this week. So what are you looking at when we're going into Texas here this coming week?
So the first thing that I'm looking at is I want to see how Scottie bounces back. First, they had a pretty big stretch here, or not stretch, but a lot of elevated events, majors, pretty close together. So now we're in a non-elevated event. It's back in Texas. I kind of want to see how Scottie plays this week. I know that's going to be like a cliche answer, but it's not even about necessarily what happened last week. I just want to see if there's this narrative going around because Scottie's never won outside of April. Can Scottie win after the month of April? And it's a minor thing, but I'm interested. I want to see playing in Texas. That really has my interest peaked.
Yeah, and I think obviously sometimes there's this entire team around PGA Tour players, and some people get more credit, some people get more hate, some people feel like they're the reason for the success or not the reason for the success. This week at the PGA Championship, it only solidified why Ted Scott might be the number one caddy in the game, why Ted Scott might be the best addition to Scottie Scheffler's team. It showed. And so, yes, like you, I'm intrigued to see what it looks like in Texas, his home state. Is he going to step up? Is it going to be amazing? I don't believe so. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going straight to my picks. Winning this week, Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, great pick. Yeah, I
great pick. He says great pick. I've made picks on this podcast for the last 11 weeks in a row and got everyone wrong. So I'm sorry to you, Rick. I'm sorry to you, Colin, but that's just the reality.
It is a great pick, though. I mean, he's playing really good.
I kind of feel like I want him to win, so I should pick somebody like Hudson Swafford.
I hope Hudson Swafford or his team doesn't watch our podcast. No, it's a great pick, though, because Colin right now is giving me the vibes kind of what Xander was going into the last couple of weeks. He's knocking at the door. He's right there. So that's a great pick. I'm going to stay away from picking Scottie, although that is my pick. I just kind of think default number one pick for the rest of the year will be Scottie.
Well, let's just make a decision here on the podcast right now. Every week that we could pick Scottie, we will pick Scottie, so we are not going to pick Scottie.
Yeah. I think that's just I think that's an obvious pick. But I'm going to stay with a home state guy. I'm going to go with Jordan Spieth. And the reason I'm going to go with Jordan Spieth is I think that we're going to see a pretty big summer from some of the not older stars, because they're not necessarily old. But when I talk about the older stars, I'm thinking of the Spieths, the Rorys of the world. And I really think the summer is going to be good for them, and I think it's going to start here this week with Spieth. I think he's back in his home state. He played okay this past weekend.
I love that he went for it on 13.
Yeah, I just think it's just one of those picks where like it just, and again, I've been wrong on every single pick that I've made this year as well, but like I know it just something feels right about Spieth this week, and selfishly, I kind of want him to have a good summer.
Yeah, well, obviously we know the stuff that he's doing with Cameron McCormick, and their journey has been amazing. The one thing that these guys have never done in this, call it a down cycle of his game, is ever panic. So I think you're absolutely right. I think this could be the week for Scottie Scheffler. But we said we couldn't pick Scottie Scheffler, so I like that you're picking another Texas guy. Go Horns and Jordan Spieth. We want to go a long shot?
I don't think this is a long shot, but don't sleep on Keegan Bradley this week either.
Okay. Hot take. You're saying Keegan Bradley's way down there because you're feeling like you treat Keegan Bradley like Zach Johnson treated Keegan Bradley, or what?
No. I actually think Keegan should have been on the Ryder Cup team. We could have a podcast on that.
We definitely could, and I think everyone could probably say the same thing. But you're going Keegan Bradley for your second.
I like Keegan.
I was going to go like deeper down the list. So
that's fine. Keegan's like 20th in the world, right? He's kind of ranked high.
Yeah, he's
a good golfer. So
he's a very good golfer. So that's good.
Do you want to go down the list? Like if you're trying to like bait me into picking Ricky, like
no, I'm not trying to bait you into picking Ricky. I'm just saying there are some other picks. Like I could easily sit here and say, hey, I think Sahith Theegala is going to play good, but I thought that was like too much of a high-end pick. So if I was going to go farther down the list and say, hey, someone that's maybe like a more of a long shot player, someone that maybe could have this resurgence, someone that we've seen in the mix a lot, I think you got Austin Eckroat.
Ooh, that's a good pick too. Can I ask you a question, just since we're here? I know Brian Harmon currently is ranked 8th in the world. Maybe he's moved down a couple spots since the PGA Championship, but last I saw was 8th in the world. I don't remember the last time he maybe even made a cut. I don't remember him being relevant on Sunday in a while.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Would you consider him, even though he's ranked 8th in the world, a long shot pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you could say that. I think we could have a little odds here on who's going to play better this week, Brian Harmon or Michael Block.
Oh, Jesus. But that's what I think is incredible about the game of golf, right? And the way the ranking system works. And I'm not trying to shit on the ranking system. I'm just saying that, like, he is currently the 8th best player in the world according to the rankings.
No, I mean, we cannot do this. This is hopefully people enjoy this podcast, and if we sit here and talk about the rankings, I'm going to get so annoyed and so upset.
I'm just saying,
because
it's important.
Your guy, Dustin Johnson, is like 300th in the world. The system is broken. And does Brian Harmon deserve to be the 8th player in the world? He's the reigning Open champion. Yeah. Like, is he a long shot? No, he currently is drinking bourbon out of the claret jug, for God's sakes, on his tractor. So, no, he's not a long shot.
So, like, what I'm getting at is college football, the top 25, the rankings change week by week.
I think you just referenced the only system that might be more broken than
fair enough. But I'm saying, like, Brian Harmon is ranked 8th in the world for a tournament he won last July.
Yeah.
And he's done nothing since last July.
Yeah, there's 4 trophies in golf that are extremely important.
Yes,
and he has one of them.
I understand that. I'm just saying that, like, we're talking about long shot picks. And
you picked the reigning Open champion.
No, I technically picked Keegan, technically.
Okay.
But I think that would be a much more long shot of a pick than Keegan or even Austin Eckroat.
I mean, maybe. Let's not digress here.
Sorry.
Let's say for the way too many weeks in a row, I am worried that I am going to absolutely ruin 2 guys' weeks because I picked them. So apologizing to Colin Morikawa and his entire team, apologizing to Austin Eckroat and their entire team, but maybe you're right. I'm going to not pick Colin, I'm going to pick Brian Harmon, but I'm really picking Colin Morikawa.
You're picking Brian Harmon. All right. So my point still
No,
stands.
when we put up the graphic, I 100% pick Colin Morikawa and Austin Eckroat. Now, do I think that there's going to be other players that have a chance? Of course.
Well,
do I think that I'm going to be as excited about watching golf this week as I was last week? I don't know. I really don't want this just to be all about Bryson, but damn, I'm going to miss watching that guy this week.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think it's, you know what it was for me? It was the excitement. It was the entertaining. It was the antics. It was the willingness to engage with the crowd. It was the fist pump circa Tiger Woods back in the day. Like, golf loves the storyline, right? The storyline, unfortunately, for the last few years has been LIV versus PGA. The storyline I want to talk about is more players need to bring the energy and bring the excitement that got my 11-year-old daughter screaming at the TV like it was a foul shot in March Madness when Xander was putting. She was like, oh, right? And when Bryson hit it, she was like, everybody quiet, please. So I think, yes, golf needs characters like Bryson DeChambeau. Do I hope that players like Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, your pick this week, Jordan Spieth, those fan favorites emerging? Yes. Do I hope that those guys take a page out of Bryson's book and start to show a little bit more excitement, start to show a little bit more energy? Hell yeah.
Since you said it, we're going fan favorites. I'm changing my long shot pick.
No.
Yes, I'm changing it. Fan favorites. Someone who does great content. Really good for the game of golf. Just played well a couple of weeks ago.
Expecting a child.
Wesley Bryan.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with your boy Ricky. Oh,
no, Wesley Bryan, who just got in because someone had to withdraw. So he got in, alternate in the field. I'm taking Wesley. That's my long shot.
I like it. So if we have to add third pick, because you have currently Jordan Spieth, Brian Harmon, and Wesley Bryan.
I don't have Brian Harmon.
I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa, Austin Eckroat, and another amazing Longhorn, Bo Hostler. Shout out to our boy John Scott Rattan, who was on the pod. So currently, if you want me to pick you or you want me to pick one of your players, you need to be on the pod.
That'll work. That'll do it.
I'm excited for this weekend. Guys, we will recap it. We also have a podcast coming out about speed this week with Steve Furlonger. We are going to continue to do a better job. It's coming up to summer, so we'll have a little bit more time. Casey went on a guy's golf trip to West Virginia and took like a month off, so apologize that we've been a little bit quiet on the socials, but we're going to ramp it back up. If you're a player that wants to start to do what Bryson's doing, maybe as long as there's not a boys trip on the list, Casey could give you a hand and help you out with your content. But for me, I'm out. I just want to say Halloween this year, I think I'm going as Scottie Scheffler.